Right, how's that sound? Sorry guys, I was trying to set up the chat for you guys there. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Full Credit to the Boys. Appreciate every single one of you guys. Hopefully, yeah, it's all working fine. Sweet. All right. Unfortunately, the boys going down to the doggies here, 34-18. Very similar to the performance I just had there to start the stream. And also before I jump into it, guys, as I kind of just tried to touch on before, but no sound. No overlay here for Full Credit to the Boys. I do apologize for that. If you did notice, all you can eat sort of logo in the corner. Yeah, I do apologize for that. I hadn't gotten around to figuring that out here on my new little platform here on OBS. So I will figure that out in the future, but hope you guys will enjoy the content here. Again, guys, if you are not a member already of WUTV, feel free to jump over and join our membership program, $5.99 a month. Feel free, no pressure if you don't want to there, but you unlock a little bit of value here with a couple of emojis you can chuck up in the chat and a lot more for the future. We're going to do some Q&As for the future and stuff like that with just members only. So if you don't want to do that, feel free to subscribe. It is totally free to subscribe to the channel. We're going for a big, major goal of 1,500 subscribers. I haven't double checked actually where we're at currently right now. So please, someone in the chat, let me know where WUTV right now are with subscribers. Defense. Agreed, Stoked. Agreed. All right, give us 2 seconds and we'll go through my thoughts of the game, just checking out a lot of the stuff here on the stream. All right, appreciate the 5 people in the chat. 40, good to see you in here. Stoked, how you doing? MP, thank you so much for letting me know. Jazzy, good to see you. Tams, what's happening? So yeah, as I was kind of touching on before, I thought the first half effort was really, really nice from the boys. I thought we came out here, play the football. Obviously a big moment there for Sean Johnson's, Sean Johnson's last game at Mount Smart, Adam Fanua Blake's last game in a Warriors jersey at Mount Smart, now been called Sean Johnson Stadium for this game. Jazzy Devanga, same sort of thing. He'll be moving on to, from what all rumors are saying, Manly Seagulls. But yeah, obviously, we're coming towards the end of the season, guys. This won't be a long Full Credit to the Boys, but this will be a lot more of a Q&A sort of session, guys. So just chuck them into the chat, your thoughts and that overall in the game. We'll talk back and forth, and I'll go through a little bit of stats before we do that too. Obviously, the Brisbane Broncos and the Parramatta Eels are just about to kick off soon. If you want to jump over to that too, if you are here for rugby league content. All right, guys, so basically, yeah, 53% to the Doggies tonight, 47% to the Warriors. A lot of errors in this game from our boys, actually completed at the same percentage rate, 76 to 76. Very similar, times with the ball there, 34, for the Doggies, and 29 with the Warriors completed sets. So we actually had more runs on the ball there, but the Doggies actually had more meters in this game. So really different to our usual stats here. Usually we do dominate a side in run meters, stuff like that, but the Doggies just really showed out in this contest. I thought they were really strong. I thought they used the ball really, really well. And defensively, you start to notice they've ramped up, their defense down the opposite end. You probably would notice that's very similar to our system, and that's how we're supposed to run football. You look at the Dogs, and that's how we're supposed to play football. That's Webby's system, that's Serraldo's system, that's the Panthers system that they've bit into. That's how big of a, how big Ivan Cleary has, put his footprint into these two coaches here. And I'm sure that both these coaches would have had their inputs into both these systems here. But looking at both these sides, looking at when the Dogs started to really get the wrestle into the contest, when they started to defend down the opposite end of the field, you've seen the Warriors do that very effectively, during the game. And when a lot of people say that maybe the system doesn't suit the Warriors, I would say it does. You can see it happens with the Dogs, and the Doggies are very fit. They're able to happen. I'm sure it will suit the boys next year. As I said, we're going to get Fisher Harris in the middle. He's going to bring leadership. He knows the system really, really well. I'm really excited for that. But we won't talk about the future too much right now. We'll talk about this game here as we see in front of it. Post-contact meters, guys. We did lead post-contact meters, 436 to 411. Line breaks, 4 line breaks apiece on both sides. Tackle breaks, we had the better tackle breaks there, 41 to 29. So still, we're very dominant when we run the football, other than the run meters tonight, where the Doggies actually had the upper hand due to probably a little bit more shifting out of their back end. Average set distance, both around the 34 to 36 range. The Doggies actually getting the upper hand in that sort of side of things. But the main key things we want to touch on there, negative plays, 14 errors for the Warriors, 10 errors for the Doggies. But the biggest difference between the two sides here, because you did see the Doggies had 10 errors defensively on their goal line. They were absolutely incredible. If you look at defensive stats, we actually led them against the Doggies in this one. Effective tackle, we led them at 89% to the Doggies 84%. The Doggies actually missed more tackles than us. but it's the scramble defense, and it's the effort they put into key areas in the field, especially goal line defense. We probably saw that later on in this game. We started to get a little bit frustrated. And also the other key area is they do, limit teams in getting out of their own end as well. So very, very strong performance there from the Dogs. And as I said, I want to touch on a couple of positives from our boys, because I thought that, honestly, we started off very, very well. I thought we were attacking fairly well as well. The referee the first half was absolutely disgraceful, in my opinion. And it was for both sides, really. But 3 tries in the first half there. Marcelo Montoya, Kurt Capewell, and Wade Egan, all 3 tries in that first half. And the Doggies came away with 3 tries in that first half as well. Bronson Sherry, Stephen Crichton, Curtis Moran. Second half, we go 3 tries to none. So unfortunately, we were unable to get over the white stripe, but a lot of that did come down to the defensive effort from the Dogs. And we saw even later on in that game, there was a moment where Dylan Walker almost had a crash ball option off Freddie Lussick and goes to unavail. Also, lastly, guys, before I jump over I want to shout out to all the fans that got out there at Mount Smart, at Shaun Johnson Stadium and all that. 24,000 people, as I see here, went out there to attend this game. So I appreciate all the fans. So a massive positive to all the fans out there. Appreciate all the 26 viewers in the chat. Feel free to jump into the chat and let me know your thoughts. Also, get a Q&A started on any questions you want to give to me. So I'll quickly run through a couple of key stats winners here in our team. Dimitri Sifakula, I want to touch on him a little bit more. A very, very positive sign. Nido, yes, just as you called it out, bro. Sifakula, bro. As I keep saying, the future of the kids that we have coming through right now are very, very, very strong. I cannot wait to see more and more Sifakula. He had that really nice line break later on in the game. You saw a little bit of his footwork there up against Viliami Kikau, who rushes out very, very quickly in defense. He has that big, strong effort in defense there, Viliami Kikau. But a couple of big steps from Sifakula. There's a big moment, that big line break. You just got to see a little bit of his speed. His mobility is incredible, and I cannot wait to see more out of him in the future. Very strong, aggressive in defense, and I thought he did really well tonight. Shout out to Kurt Capewell too. Kurt Capewell, before I go more into other players too, guys, I'll bounce it back and forth with you guys too. As I said, it's not going to be a crazy long stream tonight, but we'll go through my positive players here. Kurt Capewell, 134 run meters in this contest here. He had a couple of really nice moments with a nice line break and that. Defensively, 21 tackles, 2 misses. Really, really solid knock there from Kurt Capewell. I thought he was very, very strong in this game, and I feel like ever since the origin period or even his injury period, he's actually showed why we've signed him. It's just been really unfortunate we weren't able to get this sort of Kurt Capewell early on in the season, right? So shout out to Kurt Capewell. He's starting to really turn heads now to be like, this is why we signed him. We're starting to see really positive ability. Obviously, we dropped both our centers in this game, Adam Pompey and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. So he had to cover on both edges in the centers there, and he did a very, very good job, in my opinion, there. 134 meters are well done for him. Shout out Adam Fanor-Blake individually. We all know that he's going to get through his meters there. 125 meters, 60 post contact. Incredible performance from him in a losing side there. Marcelo Montoya, 101 meters. Chancey out the back, 136 meters. I would also add to that Chancey was starting to get a little bit of stick, and I've started to notice a little bit of Chancey slander lately too, around his positioning, stuff like that. The early try, I think it was a Harry Hayes try. I don't put that down on Chancey. I thought Chancey was in a perfect position. It was just a reflected of the ball from Mitch Barnett that really caused that action for the try. A couple other moments there. Obviously, he gets caught in the line a lot more, but you see that a lot with general rugby league currently right now. It's really unfortunate to see that, but usually defensive sets for NRL sides is their fullback sits in a line, especially when the team gets into the opposite 30 to 20. But yeah. The Eels scored already, Just Case. That is crazy. That is crazy. Nido, big fan of Metcalf now. Metcalf is unreal. Again, I didn't think he had his best night tonight. He had a decent night, 81 run meters there. I wish he had probably more run meters. I wish he took on a line a little bit more, probably his best part of his game. Had a bit more missed tackles tonight, 12 tackles with 7 missed tackles. So they were definitely peppering his edge a lot there. But what I love about him is, if it's a lot of stuff you didn't see in this game, is he's actually a fairly good playmaker. And especially a little good, play kicker as well. And we will see a little bit more out of it next year. He's definitely my predicted halves pairing with Tamade Martin next year. And it leaves me a little bit more positive for next year and the upcoming. And I had a couple of stats coming into this about Tamade Martin and that. And I'll touch on them a little bit later if I get asked the question. But with the chat, guys, yeah, defense. Last week, before I jump over to you guys too quickly, shout out to the doggies here. I want to go through a couple of their stats. So, across the board, very, very solid game. Very similar in other ways. Not a lot of boys getting over that 100 mark. So it just showed the type of game that we were in. It was a grind fest for a little period there. Connor Tracy, 103 meters. Jacob Kraz, 136. Amazing effort from him, leading the competition right now in run meters. Samuel Hughes, a big night for him. He was actually in a VB hard earned index, and the rest of it was all Warriors there too. So 106 run meters, really, really solid effort there too. And 138 meters for Harry Hayes. Guys, I did touch on him earlier on. He is going to be unreal for the doggies. The doggies should lock that man up. He is going to be a really big threat with the dogs for the future. All right. Jumping over to you guys in the chat, guys. Again, I won't be going too long here for full credit to boys tonight. Obviously, it's been a losing season. There's a lot going on. I will touch on you guys mainly more so. If you've got any questions, we're looking at the future a little bit more now. Obviously, the season is done and gone. Hopefully, we get a win against the Sharkies next week for our last game of the season for Sean Johnson to let him go, and Adam Fanor-Blake and Jazzy Tavanga and reportedly Bunty Afar, whether those rumors are true or not. But yeah. First thing I want to touch on, we'll go for the Sifikula. Love that Dean. Sifikula is beast. Ash, he was awesome. He's unreal, hey. Love Sifikula. Huge running, very strong in defense. Agreed. Benji, not the result we wanted, but big Sifikula is going to be a problem when he gets more minutes under the belt. And I think the biggest positive too is also looking at the future we have coming up, and all those boys that have touched first grade, they did not disappoint, right? And that's the biggest positive is I know our first grade squad this year, and we've had some really poor performances from probably our top first grade squad, our older players, our leaders from last year that were incredible. But I think it is a little bit of more of a passing of the torch when we started to see our best performances come in when we did have a younger lineup, when we had, a halves pairing of Tomato Martin and say whoever is next to him, or, Sifikula, Leka Zalasima, Tain Chuapikis, all these sort of players that would come into our lineup. It shows that the system works. It shows that we just need to play within the system, play with a ton of effort. And all these young kids have a ton of potential. Leka Alasima, we've all seen him on the big stage. He's incredible. Killed it in New South Wales Cup today. We'll touch a little bit more on New South Wales Cup a little bit later. 42-point victory or whatever. Incredible performance from our boys there. I didn't get to watch the game, but I will be trying to watch that one back. But the positive for the future, Civic Coolers, Leka Alasima, Laban looked good when he debuted for us early on the season. MGT looked great for us. Ali Leatoa looked incredible for us to start the season. Tain Chuapiki's been incredible for us whenever he jumps in that jersey there. Luke Metcalf has stepped up every game I've seen him in here. I don't think I've ever seen him have a proper poor game yet in first grade. This was probably, I'd say, 7 missed tackles, probably close to it. But even then, I thought that he was fairly good during this game here. We have great future depth, and we have, when these guys do move on, the passing of the torch, Adam Fanor-Blake passes the torch, Jazzy Tavanga passing the torch, the system works, the players play well in that system. We have seen that in New South Wales Cup. We have seen that this season. We're beating the Panthers, Dolphins, Cowboys by big margins too with the Cowboys. It shows that there is positive moments in this lineup. Very sour that we lost the Dogs here, but very positive for the future. Tristan Catewell won't get credit from the Warriors fans ever, I don't think. Yeah, which sucks because of the start of the season. But if they're looking at it right now, yeah, I think that he's been really good for us. Dean, what's going on? What happened to Nick Corday? He's been fairly out of form lately. I think there's been obviously we saw him get pushed to the bench in this matchup here. Probably a little bit of Webby just saying listen, you probably haven't been up to scratch lately. You're going to come off the bench more so now. I would love to maybe see him more so as a middle again. Even though we did say coming that part of the Cowboys game of the season where we saw a lot of great moments out of him in edge back row. But when we see players like Leka Alasima, even we could play Sifikula on the edge. I'd rather him in the middle, but he can play there. Jacob Laban can play on the edge. We can probably have the ability of bringing Murata off the bench as well. So we probably won't see that till maybe mid next year where we have we put a big stock into Leka Alasima to play big minutes on the edge. But yeah, get excited for that for the future, guys. So it's going to be incredible. Murata will probably come on as a middle, more of a mobile middle, and I think that probably suits him a little bit more the more that we get to see him there. He's definitely fallen off a cliff a little bit. I think ever since that Canberra Raiders game, we kind of pointed out that Murata is starting to struggle a little bit, and I'm not too sure there's an injury that he's carrying. I'm not too sure, but yeah, it's been a little bit off lately. And hopefully I answered that question a little bit later on there, Dean. I saw you doubled up on that question there too, my bro. Yeah, the Eels are 2 tries. Crazy. I had to jump over to watch that after this game, after doing this full credit. Tristan, hopefully the Aaron Clark rumors become true. Bro, so story on this, I heard these rumors a long time. So when we got smoked by the Titans, I was actually walking back after the game with a guy that was talking about he knows Aaron Clark and that. I won't say any affiliations or anything like that, but he was saying by around that point that Aaron Clark had been trying to come home. So I've heard these rumors for a long time now. I've been waiting for him to come out to see if they are actually true. And it has come out to say that he looks like he's going to be signing. So, well, hopefully anyway. So I love that signing. I think he would be incredible for our 13 depth. Now seeing like Tohu obviously had a season-ending injury this year. We weren't able to see him towards the end of here, but we all kind of agree that Tohu is probably more so towards the end of his career than he is to the start of it. Dylan Walker also, we probably can't rely on Dylan Walker being that 13 every game, 80 minutes. You know what I mean? I think it'd be good to have a rotation. So I think Aaron Clark, he'll be a really good rotation there in the middle in that 13 jersey, in my opinion. Metcalf is CHT, but better. Metcalf's definitely got a lot more strengths, like with speed and stuff like that, but I could see what you're saying. Probably more of a run first, like number 6 sort of option, but you'll see like Metcalf playing 7. He has really good moments there in New South Wales Cup, but we will see a little bit more out of it next year. I do think he'll get more reigns next year. Mel's waiting for a return of Rocco Berry. I think he's definitely been the forgotten soul in the Warriors at the moment. You know, he was our starting center to start the season, but been out due to the amount of injuries with him. Hopefully it doesn't become a consistent thing because he has dealt with injuries since like his, development years and stuff like that with us. But I love Rocco and hopefully he gets back to really good form. But I think he has gone to the wayside with a lot of people too. So I think a lot of people do forget Rocco Berry and what he brings to the side. Hotsuna, New South Wales Cup boys were on. Can't wait for the future. Agreed, bro. Agreed. I cannot wait for the future. Yeah, our New South Wales Cup team was really, really solid today. Hey, as I said, like I'll actually jump over to it now. I'm pretty sure, what was it, 42-10, wasn't it? It was a really, really solid victory. I've been saying to you guys, like I want us to keep a lot of our young boys down there so they can win together in New South Wales Cup. I think that's a major thing for us in our like development systems and stuff like that. We won Harold Mass this year. It'd be cool to see us get 2 trophies this year with our New South Wales Cup team. So I do hope that becomes the case. Obviously, Tomato Martin's I think he's out for the season with that neck injury, which sucks. So he can't play in that 7 jersey for the rest of the season. But we got some good players there. Like I think Luke Hanson and Ben Farr, really good options that we have there in Cup. Paulie Roach in that 7 jersey this week got it done against the Doggies side, 42-10. Good to see Ali Leotoa back in that jersey as well. Tane Tuapiki again. Unfortunately, no stats really up here on the New South Wales Cup sites. Would love to see them update a little bit more. And I'd love to see them do more with Cup. You know what I mean? Like you look at soccer, you got so many different versions of like, you got, in EPL, you got EPL, you got Championship, you got League 1, League 2, League, then they all get televised. I wish New South Wales Cup got televised a little bit more so we can get to see these guys and all our Warriors fans that have gotten off our first grade squad being very poor this year can look at our juniors coming through and get excited for the future. And so you can see the overarching position where our club actually is. I think that's a major thing that the NRL need to work on. So that's the next step for me, is just viewing our systems for the future. But just touching on that Cup performance, 8 tries to 2, 42-10 over the Doggies. Graham Telfer, Ed Gossi, Jacob Laban, Setu 2, Jacob Laban with a double there, Setu 2 with a double there, and Ben Farr with a double as well. Tane Tuapiki converting 4 out of those tries and 1 for Ben Farr. Actually, 1, 2, 3. Yep, 4 of those tries. So really, really solid performance from our Cup side there too. Anyone that got to watch it, guys, go chuck up in the chat your thoughts overall and players you thought that stood out. Whilst I hope Webby doesn't play the Cup boys next week and keep the momentum rolling in the comp. He should have played them weeks ago, but now, in my opinion, honestly, bro, I never thought that he should have played all the Cup players. I think that the overall plan for this season, the reason why we got a lot of experienced pieces in the lineup was we're going to make the big effort, obviously, to jump and try to win the premiership this year. I know that was a lot of thoughts. We want to be top 4, win the premiership this year with our first grade squad. But a lot of it, secondly, was to have experienced players around a club to really bleed in a lot of these juniors and really, so they can train together, but when they play in Cup, to keep them in Cup together and build them as a group unit that jump up for Warriors in the Warriors jersey for the future. So if they win Cup together, think about like the Penrith Panthers boys. I've said this multiple times. They won SG Ball together. A lot of them were playing together through their junior grades. Them as a core group jumped up together and won, the NRL together. They learned how to win together. They didn't have the scars of the first grade squad and how the up and down performances there. I'd love to continue to see that for the future. I know a lot of Warriors fans wanted to see the juniors so quickly and so early, but I think that we are in one of those phases now where it is passing of the torches. So this year was more of a thing of just holding out these young boys until they develop a little bit more. So when they come into first grade, they look like absolute killers. And I think Webby's done a great job at that. Every time I've seen our younger kids come up, they've been special. And that's a credit to Webby and all our coaches around our development systems. You know, look at, Paranara in Harold Match coach, incredible job with our younger boys there with starting off our development systems, but all the way through, Slade Griffin, all those boys that have brought together these juniors that we have. That's a credit to those boys that they, pushed up into first grade and they don't look out of depth. And that's a credit to Webby. And that's what I continue to say. People have got to stop looking at, the first grade squad. I blame the players for the way they're playing the first grade squad, in my opinion. Like, I blame some key areas. There's not much leadership with the first grade squad. Webby's had some moments where he definitely needs to fix up on. He's his second year head coach. He's definitely learning. But a lot of the moments this year, I think Webby's put a system in place that has really helped us to get to the end of the field. It's the finishing touches that is really on the players really coming together and making it happen. And that's what gets us over the top. Kelly, Tano fullback, been saying it all year. He's got the goods. Unfortunately, just having CNK there and the experience that CNK has, and I still believe that CNK is the better fullback out of the two. I know a lot of people probably looking at Tane's future's probably brighter at the moment. CNK's looking like he's more so towards the end of his career than the start of it. And Tane's obviously kicking off and he's looking like the new exciting toy that we have. But I probably still don't see a consistent role for Tane probably next year unless CNK goes down with injuries again. And as we've seen this year, obviously CNK has dealt with injuries. So we'll have to see soon. But every time you got to remember too, when Tane stepped up in the first grade, he has not actually completed one full game other than the Panthers game from memory. When he stepped up in first grade, he's always dealt with head knocks and a couple of injuries too. So that's something he needs to work out as well. But yeah, I'm very, very confident for our future too with Tane Tuapiki, and we're definitely going to lock him down for the future. We've got a ton of money from that Sean Johnson moment. Obviously him moving on retired. So a lot of that cap money in there. Obviously Jazzy Devunga moving on, Adam Fanua Blake moving on, and hearing Bunty Afala might be moving on as well. There's a lot of cap there that we can give to these juniors and keep them around the club. And I think we all can agree that that's where we want to go. I don't want to see us go to the market too hard. I don't want to see us bring in any more people that are really going to stunt a lot of these kids from getting up to first grade at the perfect time. Looking at Toby Crosby's, are still probably a year off developing, but give him a contract where he stays. Players like that. That's what I want to see. Very sad news about RTS. Agreed. Yeah, caught in a head knock in that category 1. He won't be playing next week. So that hurts. That really does hurt. Boosh, depending on when they bring the young forwards through, we're going to have a massive forward pack. Again, I wouldn't say massive. Dimitrik's a bigger body. I'll probably get his actual numbers up, how big Dimitrik Sifakula is. But they're mobile, and that's what I like about them a lot. They're not my comparison is more Adam Fanua Blake, and it's not me trying to harp on Adam Fanua Blake and saying he's too big or anything like that, but he's 130 kilo prop in the middle. Dimitrik Sifakula currently right now is listed 104. I'd probably say he's probably reaching about the 110 mark at the moment. He's carrying a little bit more weight at the moment, but he's got more mobility, and the newer level of rugby league is going towards more smaller packs. We just got beat by a doggies pack that is under a small pack. If you actually look at it, their biggest prop forward is Samuel Hughes. And other than that, everything else is under about that 115, 110 kilo mark. Harry Hayes is probably the next biggest forward, I'm guessing, or Viliami Kikau, who's an edge back rower. And that will help our middle defense, and that will help our defense for the future. So that's what I'm excited for the future, is have these more mobile forwards really carry the torch. And we're going to have probably a better defensive unit with mobile forwards. Look at the Panthers, smaller forward pack. They move really well. Even the Roosters, when you got Lindsay Collins and that, they're more mobile pack. They move really well, and defensively, that's what makes them so strong. That's what I believe anyway. So that's why I'm really, really excited for the future. Dean, I still think RTS center isn't working compared to the other NRL centers. I'm a bit 50-50. I still think he's up there with probably I think he can perform at a top 10 center range at the moment. I think he has the ability to be a top 5 center at the moment. I would have Joey Manu over him, of course. I'd have Critter over him, of course. I'd have Herbie over him, of course. But he plays so much like Herbie Farnworth, and that's what I like about him. He's more of a meat eater type of center, but he's got more to his game he can grow from for sure. And then off the top of my head, I'd probably say Bronson Sherry probably looks a little bit better than him at the moment. Going off of that, I'm probably missing a ton of senses off the top of my head right now. Looking at what the Roosters, Suoli'i's gone. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I think that he's not too bad. And again, like, I think from reports, he was a 600K buy. Like, that's not a bad buy to me. Kelly, I think RTS has shown signs of being more confident. Sondra is like, yeah, I think defensively he's been unreal for us at centre. It's just obviously the little things at centre he needs to grow at. And the more time he'll get there, the better he'll get. And unfortunately this year, he just hasn't had time to do that due to injuries. He's been bouncing around everywhere this year. Tahi, bro, next year will be interesting with a new moving up. Agreed. I think we'll be very solid. I honestly do think that we can challenge top 8 next year. I know a lot of people obviously seeing the season this year, but I think we're going to be positive. Like, I'll run you through the stats that I said. I think I've said it before, but the performances we've had with Tamane Martin in that 7 jersey, and it just comes down to probably more youthfulness and the way the boys were playing off of that system and probably playing a little bit more fun footy at the moment. But with Tamane Martin at 7, we were actually 5 from 8. We were playing really good footy. Our average loss margin was actually 1.6 points. So we held the team, like we held it to a really close margin. Our 2 losses we had, we scored more tries than lost. And the other loss that we had was the Dogs, where we lost our complete back line and we only lost by a field goal. Our attack was upwards of a top 5 attacking side at 26.2 points per game. And that was within an 8-game sample size, guys. So that's a really decent margin there. And our defense was actually a top 5 defense with Tamane Martin in that 7 jersey. 18.8 points per game conceded. So there's a lot of good signs when, unfortunately, like, I don't want to harp on it. It's Shawnee's last game and we don't want to touch on those sort of things. But the moving on a lot of players the way we have moving on, there's positives there because the system works and these guys will grow into that. We'll become more of a team unit instead of an individual unit, you know? When you think of the Warriors right now, you think of Sean Johnson, Adam Fanor, Blake, right? Like, really, if you think it'd be these big individual players, next year, we're not going to have those big, you know, big personalities. We're going to have more of a team unit, right? And when you look at some of the best teams in the competition, that's what makes them so special. You can name every player in that team and say they're all playing amazing football. You can't really just tee it onto one player. And I think that will take us into another era. So it's going to be a slow build, but I think we're going to be very positive for the future. Alex, good to see you in the chat, my bro. Appreciate you coming through, my man. Hopefully Goldie is treating you very well. Got Jet Cleary coming over as well for the future. Yeah, he's probably still a couple of years off for me in development. I've seen a lot of him lately, but yeah, he's going to be definitely a future for sure. Gossie, underrated performance in Cup. Good to hear, Tristan. Good to hear. I love to hear that. Chris, yeah, I want to see some New South Wales Cup today, and yeah, there's some a very strong side. We need to feed off of that with somehow. Thanks, SJ. It's been some great memories. Yeah, and we will feed off of that next year, bro. I think this year, I think Webby is just stuck at like the group that we've had this year. They're going to be the ones that run out for the rest of the season. The group that we have next year will be completely different. I do believe. I think there's going to be a couple of changes. I think obviously with a couple of big players moving on, there's some spots now that these young kids can fill in. And I think we do fill those spots with those young kids. And I'm excited for that. And I think everyone should be as well. 3rd try for Para. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Sky Sports plays New South Wales Cup. Yeah, in New Zealand. I'm based in Australia. Sorry, Mels. But I tried to get a crack stream, like a free stream or whatever of Sky Sport and that, but it wasn't working for me, unfortunately. So I was unable to really watch the game, but I will definitely watch it back when I get the chance. Still believe in the WUTVs, Greg, for sure. For sure. Chris, what do we do for our last game next week? I'm not sure. Just have the same team or change it up. I'll just run out with the same team and see what happens. See if we can pull something out of the fire against the Sharks. Probably looking at Nico Hines coming back too. But I think that like we're just allowed a script to finish out the year, hopefully get out a win. We can't really go any worse. Like really, like we can't win the wooden spoon this year. So and this year's already been a complete write-off anyway. So the way I look at it is just keep our Cup boys all together. Hopefully win Cup down below, and hopefully don't pinch a lot of those boys from coming out. But with RTS probably jumping out, we'll probably have to see one of the younger boys stepping up there too. So we'll have to wait and see. Tahi, bro, I think Webby had overrun the seniors, but had no choice in order to protect the newer players. Agreed. And it just happened. Right? it's one of those wretched injury riddled seasons that really hurt us. As I touched on when we first started the stream, that was our first time we actually ran with our first preferred spine this season, right? You know, CNK, Sean Johnson, Luke Metcalf, and Wade Egan. We have never run out this season with that lineup there. We've always had at least one or two of those players out, so which has been really unfortunate. We'll be better next season. Hopefully injuries don't hurt us again, but yeah. Noto, is there a starting fullback playing worse than CNK right now? Yeah, 100%. You look at, like, I think Clint Gufferson is probably playing really well for the Eels right now, but I think Clint Gufferson's been a little bit out of form lately. I think Dream Buller's been fairly down on confidence lately. Like, you can look at, like, majority of those bottom four sides. Keanu Keeney's been incredible for the Titans, so I'll probably say Keeney's playing better football at the moment, but I don't think CNK's played bad football either. Statistically, he's still running for about 250 meters a game consistently. Error rate has been fairly good this year. I know he's had a couple of games where he's had a couple of errors and that where people kind of hold in on, but I think, bro, he's had a really solid year, and I'll probably hold him up there as a top 10 fullback in the league right now. And I'll stick by that. I really would. But again, I think injuries have hampered his season this season. Laban was outstanding to me in cup defensively contesting a ball's tries. It's good to see too, because there was a moment this year with Laban where I saw him drop back in the cup and I didn't see the dominance out of him in cup, but he's slowly turning it back over again and showing he's developing even more. So really, really good signs. What's that? You're probably saying Tane won't hang around. He probably moves on to offered NRL position elsewhere, which would be sad. There's no other first grade squad that probably has an opening position for him to jump into. Like, as I just touched on, Dream Buller looks like he's probably going to be a full-time fullback for the Tigers. You know, Clint Gufferson's looked like he's moving on, but they're getting Isaiah Iongi from the Panthers. Like, you can't name another first grade squad that are really at a deficit in the fullback position. It's a very heavily contested position this year, as we kind of just touched on before. Tane, if with the money that we have, we can keep Tame around if we offer him a little bit of money, and I think he's loving it in New Zealand. Like, he's playing amazing cup footy. I think he would agree that injuries have been the biggest thing that held him back this season as well. Like, it hasn't just been Webby holding him back this season. Injuries have kept him out of the lineup. Like, if you don't remember, the reason why CNK came back in the Rabbitohs game was, like, CNK was going to be our first choice, but the game before that, Tane Tuapiki had the head knock and couldn't play the next week. So that's really what's been happening this season, right? What's going on, my bro? Yeah, I as I kind of just touched on before, the youth will come next year, and I didn't want us to drop our youth this year either. Like, you know, we obviously there's been some. I've heard rumors of disjoint in the squad. I've heard, like, you know, obviously a lot of these boys are carrying scars of the past. I don't want our young boys to get up there and have a name. Like, unfortunately, Warriors, like, it's sports fans, right? Sports fans seem to label players when they first see their eyes on them. If they don't hit the ground running, people label them something and they won't change that opinion of them. And if they hit the ground running and then they have those moments again, and people will hate on them because they'll be like, they're a little bit overrated, right? So it's tough when you get to first grade. So, like, thinking back in the past, like, Rocco Berry was labeled as a bad centre when he first came into the league, and he's been struggling to shake that ever since that. And there's been a strong base of fans that have not liked Rocco Berry in that centre position and want Adam Bombay to be our starting centre there as well. And that's what I mean. Like, Webby's done really well to hold these guys down. So they win cup together. They become a very close-knit group. So when they come up together, they can hit the NRL media full force, and people will end up falling in love with them. People will probably label them as well, but they'll be a little bit older and more experienced to the cycle instead of getting in right now in a season that's been going downhill and putting them in and really hurting their development, right? Like, that's the biggest thing you got to watch out for. Like, we've done that years to come. Like, COVID years, we've had injury-riddled years where we chuck players in really early and they've just not floated, and we've just, like, throw them out the back door. You know what I mean? Like, that's a real unfortunate thing. That's why I didn't think we had to go young very early on. Goodwin has returned to City from Barca. Crazy news. He's definitely a big piece at, like, Man City, even though they continue to win. I do feel like they miss him a little bit, but yeah, good little move there. Zach Clark, so keen for Tomato Martin and Metcalf next year. Me too, bro. I think he's going to be incredible. As I said, statistically, we've had our best football under Tomato Martin this year. That's not me bashing Sean Johnson. As you guys know, I love Sean Johnson. Like, he's the reason why I followed the Warriors, right? When I first started following the Warriors, he opened a door to me becoming a major Warriors fan. But I can't go away from the facts. Tomato Martin was our most positive part of this year with being that halves pairing. He had a 60% win rate. Our defense actually got better with him at 7. And I think that's more so the way he plays football and the confidence he builds with players around him. We're going to be good for the future. I do agree with that. I do think that. Mels, we need speedsters. I feel like we're a bit slow, our spine and our wingers. Honestly, our spine, Luke Metcalf consistently been there. Luke Metcalf is one of the fastest 6s in the competition right now. So I don't think that, I think that we will have speedsters. Tane Tuapiki has a little bit of toe to him when we see him step up in the first grade, so we'll probably see him sometime soon. But looking at our backline, like you look at the Panthers backline, they don't have a ton of speed in their backline either. Like Suni Taruva's got a little bit of toe to him, but you look at everything else, like Brian To'o's fairly like good, strong winger. He's probably not the quickest winger in the world. Dylan Edwards, not the quickest fullback in the world. He's just a high work rate type of fullback. Even the Dogs, when the Dogs don't have Josh Adokar, their next best is probably Bronson Sherry, is probably the quickest they have in their squad as well. You look at Stephen Crichton and Karaz on the other side, just high work rate type of players like, obviously Karaz. Like, I don't think we need a ton of speedsters because we lose probably a little bit of our ability to work out of our back end with our, Dallin Martinez, Lesniak and Montoya or Roger if we go for them to the wing for the future. But I agree, we do need probably a little bit of touch of explosiveness. And I think you'll probably see next season with a little bit of confidence, you will see a little bit more out of that, especially Luke Metcalf. I think a lot of people forget how game-changing he can actually be. And you go watch the Eels game last year, the 3-try performance, tackle break ability, look at his pre-seasons, the Sharkies game this year where he pretty much was like 30 out, came off his left foot and speed just to burn. Like, that's the speed we have. And that will come in soon. I agree, we are more of the slower side, but I don't think we're that bad in that area either. I think defense is the main area we need to fix up on. And I honestly do believe this comment next, I think Fisher Harris will fix that. I really do think that. I think it'll be a buy-in with complete playing group, but I think he's the start with the buy-in. You know what I mean? You look at the Doggies this year, getting a Penrith piece like, Stephen Crichton, getting in there. He's a center. And he's the effort and the ability he's lifted his side, he's played amazing. The Doggies played amazing. Fisher Harris will do a very similar thing, but in the middle. And we've seen Fisher Harris. Do you look at him and say that you're going to have an off night tonight? I would hate to have an off night when you have Fisher Harris in the middle barking at you, especially with Mitch Barnett next to him. I know those guys are going to hit to a different level, and defensively we're going to be a very, very strong side. So I'm really, really excited for that. Fox is already talking about Critter not being sent for the high shot on RTS. Yeah, I probably wouldn't touch on that. The Doggies were still the better side in the contest. I don't believe that would probably helped us either way. Losing RTS hurt us probably a little bit more than probably maybe seeing Stephen Crichton sitting in the bin. But yeah, it could be a point to touch on. Thames, are you concerned with our halves next year? Depth-wise, maybe. If we lose Tomato Martin or Luke Metcalf to injury next year, which is completely positive. Look at Tomato Martin is down with injury this year with a neck injury. Luke Metcalf has had some injuries to start his years with the Warriors. We get fairly light there. We'll probably go to Chanel Harris-Tavita and looking at maybe Jet Cleary that's coming in next year. Luke Hansen's a good one. Ben Farr, from all rumors, will be leaving us from what I've heard. I don't know if any of that's confirmed, but I've heard rumors of that as well. So maybe we'll be a little bit light there, but I don't really see any halves on the market that I want to bring into the club. I want to see us build with some players we got within. There's this young kid that we have he plays sometimes in flag, but he started in SG Ball this year, Jesse Sorich. He's a really young kid. I like the look of him a lot. I think he gets the boys around the park really, really well. There's a lot of good kids coming up in that Harold Matt system. That Jack Thompson looks really, really nice. So there's some good key pieces that will take probably a couple of years to get into first grade level. But yeah, there's probably an area that, yeah. And would you consider Dejan Arce? No. I think that's dead and gone with us at the moment. I think Dejan is a good player. I don't think he will take us to another level. Maybe it could be a player we can use as depth, but again, I would rather us just build from within instead of bringing in, adding, giving a contract, because he'll probably be asking for about 400K, maybe 300K. I'd rather give that to a young kid, honestly. Quickly on Levon, shout out Levon. He was at the game today. Appreciate you, the big lift for jumping here on the stream. Hey guys, another tough losser, but it was great to be at the game. Thanks Ash for amazing work. Catch up with you guys next week. Appreciate you, Levon. Obviously, me and Levon will be on next week. He's got Mean Feed podcast with Joshy Gage. Watch out for that one too, guys. Also, Tuesday, we got All You Can Eat Warriors. Get excited for that one. And then obviously our normal content with Down Unders, and obviously Brody is going to be very happy for that. Kelly, I actually think this year has shown how many great fullbacks there are in the game. Like literally every team's fullbacks are solid. Agreed, Kelly. Like, you know, and I don't think any team has had a really bad fullback in their role there. Like, I'm trying to think if there's a team. Like, I think if the Doggies stuck with Blake Taff, I would have said that he was probably the worst fullback in the competition. But Connor Tracy's been incredible. So I wouldn't say that they probably struggle with it. Looking at like the NRL ladder, just trying to spark up my memory of any fullbacks that are struggling at the moment. Scotty Drinkwater's incredible for the Cowboys. Will Kennedy's been very good for the Sharkies. Obviously Teddy with the Roosters. You look at Papi and Fa'alongo with the Storm. Like there's a lot of teams that are dealing with the same thing as us. Like there's Storm fans that are out there want Fa'alongo over Ryan Papenhuyzen, right? So it kind of shows like, you know, it's not just us that a lot of like Warriors fans think the same thing as they want Tane Tuapiki or Roger over CNK, but you know, this Melbourne Storm deal with the same thing. You know, the Broncos with Reece Walsh, obviously. The Hammer at the Dolphins, incredible fullback. Tyrell Sloan is up and down with the Dragons, but he's got great ability for sure. The Newcastle Knights with Ponga. The Raiders probably with KO Weeks. I would have CNK over KO Weeks all day of the week, but I think KO Weeks has got a lot of talent for the future. They'll probably invest into a fullback in the future. Keanu Keeney, AJ Brimson, and Jaden Campbell, 3 fullbacks they could play at the Titans. Keanu Keeney's been incredible. Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs or Jai Gray. They've been really, really good. The Eels, Gutho, and they got Isaiah Iongi moving over to him too. He's a really great, promising fullback in Cup. And the West Tigers, obviously, as I said before, they're going to get Suni Taruva next year, but they also got Dream Buller. So this is what I mean. I don't think I see Tane Tuapiki moving on from us. I think he loves New Zealand, and I think if we give him a contract, he'll stay around. But yeah. What do you think the biggest move Webby will make next season position-wise? I think you'll probably see... So here in the rumors that Aaron Clark will be in. I think we'll probably see a lot of Aaron Clark next year in that lock position. I don't think that's going to be a big one. My predicted off the top of my head right now, fullback will be CNK. My wingers probably would be Dallin and RTS, because there had been rumors. I'm pretty sure Marcelo Montoya is not re-signed yet. So I'd probably say Dallin and RTS. Our centers will probably be Rocco Berry and Ali Leotoa. Maybe Adam Pompey as well. I'm not too sure. Halves pairing Tamate Martin and Luke Metcalf. Our front row pairing of Fisher Harris, Barnett. Hooker would be Wade Egan. Edge back rows would be Kurt Catewell. And maybe I would probably say my big one is we'll probably see Leka Lasima starting on the edge. I think we might. I don't think Webby will pull the trigger early, but I think that we might. But you could go Marata Niakorte on the edge. And then obviously in that 13 would be either Dylan Walker or Aaron Clark, whether we want Dylan Walker to come off the bench again, but those are going to be the pieces there. Off the bench, Dylan Walker will be there for sure. Sifakula will come off the bench. I think that Zion Ma'uu will probably step up around the ranks as well, and probably Tommy Ale. I'm probably forgetting a couple of names there. Chanel Harris-Tavita will probably be on the bench as well. So we got a couple of really good pieces, and that's a positive we see for the future. So biggest positional move, I would probably say that we end up moving, we'll probably try again at moving Marata Niakorte off the bench as a momentum forward, and we'll go with a young piece on the edge. Whether that be Laban, Leka, or even playing, I don't know, if we go maybe like a Sifakula in the middle and playing Barnett in the edge, I probably wouldn't like to see that, but yeah, I probably say that edge back rower on the outside of the right-hand side would be the biggest thing to change, and Leka's been the big one for me that will have that name on it. And if you watch a lot of Leka's tapes, watch his line running. That's the most impressive thing for him is for next year. Like, you know, we've had a lot of moments this year where obstruction calls have been gone against us too, of like some lazy runners. A lot of people forget too, we got Jackson Ford there too that can play on an edge as well. So whether he goes back to an edge back row probably will happen. But yeah. Yeah, Jazz. Yeah. Yeah, Jacko Ford would probably find himself around there too. So he'll probably maybe find himself on an edge too. Chris, we have been beaten by speed this year a bit, but the season has come down to attitude. We haven't had the same desire as last year for some reason. Don't know why. I've heard rumors of disjoint in the group, but then again, like you can't really see it out there. Like you see it a little bit, but I just think that when we go next year, we don't have a lot of the big personalities in the club anymore. I think that you're going to see a lot of the best, like the team will end up getting closer and you'll see a lot of good performances. I do believe that we're going to get a smaller forward pack with Fisher Harris and Mitch Barnett, but more mobile. I think that defensively that helps so much, especially when you watch like defense is one in the middle. And a lot of people like, when edge defense falls apart, it's usually because the middle falls apart where you lose the ruck or our middles aren't tying in properly with our edge and not pushing our edge back rolls out quick enough. And that's usually with our high work rate middles. You look at the Queensland Maroons and like a lot of the times I know they lost this year, but a lot of the best moments of the Queensland Maroons comes from a smaller forward pack, a more mobile forward pack. You look at like Ruben Cotter. The reason why Ruben Cotter's loved so much and Lindsay Collins is because they move all the time. And that's where good defense comes from. We just got beat by a dog side 34-18 with one of the smallest forward packs in the competition. Like, it just shows. Not bad for a bad season. Still a lot of viewers. Push the like button. Appreciate you, Tahi. Always pushing the likes. I love to see it, my man. Robin, do you think losing Justin Morgan has hurt us as well? I don't put a lot of stocks into that. Like, I know the Cowboys have had a better season than us and all that, but a lot of people have put their defensive, system down to Justin Morgan. But you look at the Cowboys, they're not much better of a defensive unit than us. Like, they really aren't. They're right about where we are. So, and if you watch the Cowboys play, defense is not their strong suit. So, I don't think that's the area. I honestly do think that it's probably aging pieces that have very big personalities in the club, and like key spine players that have been out through majority of the season. Like we've been dealing with some really bad injuries this season. I know that's an excuse, and if you want to call it an excuse, it is what it is. But I really do think that's hampered our season. We haven't been able to build a connection. We haven't been able to build cohesion this season, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, I love that, Tristan. Yeah, we all got a good mind there. Got to have Jackson forward. Yeah. Halasima. I'd love to see more out of Halasima. All right, guys, I'll probably end it off there. Nice 48-minute stream, though. But appreciate all you guys in the chat. Loving you guys, like all the great chat. All been very positive. I know it's been a very, negative season. It hasn't been going the way we want it to go. But it is what it is. We'll be back better than ever next year. I do believe that. I can 100% believe that. I think that Webby will learn a lot of the experiences from this year. I think the team will be a little bit younger next year, but it looks at a lot of our juniors coming through, our playmakers and that. I'm excited to see the development of our Luke Metcalf, Fisher Harris coming over. We still got one game left of the season. We still can pinch that game against the Sharkies. I know the Sharkies had some pretty up and down performances lately, so maybe we're able to pinch that at Shark Park, but we'll soon wait and see. But shout out to all you guys. Shout out to Sean Johnson. Massive game for him tonight. I know we got the loss, but he's been, for me, he goes down as one of the greatest Warriors of all time. He's been one of my key pieces why I follow the Warriors. I love him to death. It's sad to see him leave, but it is better for us and it's better for him, in the long run. So I appreciate you guys. Also, before I leave, make sure if you guys want to become a member, want to support the channel, $5.99 a month, incredible value. Obviously, one coffee a month if you do want to look at it that way. You get to jump in and use our emojis. Guys, if you're any members in the chat, use our emojis right now so all the chat can see the emojis, the beautiful emojis you can get if you become a member. Also, a little bit more coming with that. We got a couple of little videos and stuff coming up to really figure out, give some stuff for our members. But also, if you want to go the free route, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. That is the free way to support the channel as well. Appreciate everyone. Like and subscribe. Enjoy the week. Up the Warriors as always. Let's just be happy, guys. Let's move on, be happy, and let's move on for the future. Love you guys. Have a good night. Up the Warriors.